this was certainly something that I think we all had on our radar as a possibility at some point toward the end of the season, with Aaron Rodgers flat out saying, hey, if this doesn't work out, we're all gone. I don't think many people saw it coming after week 5. Give me the latest. How did we get here with Robert Saleh out as Jets head coach?
Yeah, I mean, Robert Saleh himself certainly didn't see it coming. How did we get here? Well, the Broncos game, I think, was bad, right? And if Zerline makes the field goal, they're 3-2 right now. Does this happen? Probably not. But that's how fine the line is between being employed and being a former head coach in this league, which you can avoid with better. I mean, Robert Saleh, there were a lot of questions. Let me get this. There were a lot of questionable moments as I've covered this team where I'm like, probably needed some better management in situations. So it's not surprising that he was maybe on notice. It is surprising because if they win on Monday, and it's a home game against the Bills, who they beat at home last year, they're in first place. Like a lot of times it's, all right, we're 2-6 and the rest of the division is running away and we expected to be in the mix. I just, to me, and then Woody Johnson's going to speak here shortly. I'll be on that conference call to see what the ambassador's answer is going to be on this one, which seems to be the tweet du jour today about how he was referred to as Ambassador Johnson by the Jets website, which, by the way, I would say you cannot overstate how much losing that game against the Vikings in London mattered in this whole situation. So it's I was definitely surprised that it happened this early. I'll put it that way.
Robert Wood Johnson IV is how he's referred to in the Jets media email. Yeah. That conference call occurring at the bottom of this hour, so 27 minutes away, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Hey, it'll be interesting to hear, Mike, how exactly Woody addresses the thought process, because as you said, and listen, we're all judged on the results on the field. Everybody's judged by their performance. Robert Saleh, I think, it was well documented, trying to have more input on the offensive side of the ball, which in turn logically means he's less involved with the defense. It became harder, I think, at times for anybody to say, hey, Robert Saleh is doing this. That's why he needs to continue to be the head coach of the football team. Yet, they're a field goal away, and as bad as that game was, as bad as the weather was, they're winning, but for a missed field goal at the end of the game. I'll just be interested to hear why Woody believes this move at this moment creates the type of sea change that he apparently thinks it does. Because you saw the statement, it was, this team is talented. We got a tough interim coach. That's going to take us to the heights. Well, you got 12 games to show it, and if they lose Monday night to the Bills, it's already edgy in New York. It's going to get that much worse.
What was the phrasing in the hold on, I'll find it here. Jeff Ulbrich will serve as our interim head coach for the remainder of the season. He's a tough coach who has the respect of the coaches and players on this team.
Yeah.
I can't help but right. You can't help but apply that to Robert Saleh. And I know that there were players along the way. Mekhi Becton, I just saw this as I came on, and please double confirm this. So I'm not speaking out of turn because it was a blog that, and maybe he deleted it. I don't know. But Mekhi Becton tweeted the guy at the funeral who said, I just showed up at my enemy's funeral just to make sure. Remember that whole
my biggest hater's funeral? Just to make
something
sure
like that.
He was dead. Yes, I recall. Paraphrasing slightly.
Yeah, so you'll have a list of guys who, if they were speaking freely, which clearly Mekhi Becton is doing, would tell you that I don't know if he appears to have deleted it. So would tell you that they didn't love Robert Saleh as a head coach. There are a lot who would, though. The quarterback is certainly going to be the most interesting one, and apparently he's pushed his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show till Wednesday, so we won't hear from him till tomorrow. I'm sure Woody Johnson is going to say it was his decision alone. I would think, considering how much that they have bent over backwards for Aaron Rodgers and signed players and hired coaches. So you see Nathaniel Hackett in the background, how much that they have brought in over the past year plus for Aaron Rodgers, that you would at least get his take on the matter. I don't know. I mean, the shove during the Patriots game, I thought that was way overplayed.
Yes.
I thought that was two guys just enjoying the moment. I think that's it right there. Good job, everybody. So I think that was overplayed. However, the body language from Rodgers, some of the way that the answered a few questions, I think he was probably not sold on how everything was being run, period. Now you flip that, and if you get Robert Saleh on right now and say, do you think you were justifiably fired? He would tell you, I haven't had a quarterback for the first 3 years of being a head coach, and I got one for 6 games total. Not even 6 games, 5 and 4 plays. That's all I really got to show what I am as a head coach. Obviously, Woody Johnson felt like things weren't going to change, made the move. Now, I don't know that you can give a complete grade.
Anybody who's been around Aaron Rodgers, certainly his coaches know he has a tendency to use a blunt word, complain. In other words, if things aren't going well, he's happy to tell other people, hey, this isn't right. This person's not doing their job. So to the extent that it's anybody thinking Aaron Rodgers like stormed into Woody Johnson's office and said Robert Saleh needs to go, I wouldn't anticipate it that. I do believe that to the extent, if any, that Aaron Rodgers thought perhaps there was a leadership change needed, he had a variety of different ways that he could have made that clear without making any type of demand. And look back at the history of head coaches with Aaron Rodgers. He gets, early in his career, obviously he's drafted under Mike Sherman, who's there his rookie year. But then Mike McCarthy comes in, the guy who had been on the San Francisco staff. Mike McCarthy didn't make the choice to go with Alex Smith. That would be ridiculous. Offense coordinators don't do that, but was on that staff when they took the other guy. He comes in. Those two have a great partnership. They win a Super Bowl. They go to the playoffs over and over and over again. In those final few years, it was the Aaron in different ways kind of making comments to various people and making clear that he thought we would do something different. He gets Matt LaFleur in. We quickly learned that Aaron didn't really have any input in that, but that ends up being a good partnership. And for 2 years, they win a couple of MVPs. Then Aaron, for reasons that had nothing to do with LaFleur, decides to move on. And the image I can't help but think of, Mike, is Robert Saleh, along with other members of the Jets organization, in California, at Aaron's house. Go back and read the quotes from both of them about those initial meetings and how well they got along and why Aaron bought into Robert Saleh here. To think that a year and change later we're at this point and it's Robert Saleh is gone and now, hey, we're taking our shot here for the next 12 games and hoping this works. It's a fascinating kind of thread that all revolves around one guy who now needs to step up and play his butt off with Devontae Adams or without him come Monday night against the Bills. They're going to be 2-4, and there's not a whole lot of places they can go.
No, and it doesn't change the offense, right? None of this changes anything offensively. These guys are out of sync. They're out of rhythm, which is surprising because of how much time Aaron Rodgers spent. I'm still waiting. Has nobody tied it? Nobody tied like they're out of sync because he missed the 3 days of minicamp or 2 days or whatever it was.
You did now, and we'll pull that quote out and make sure that shit gets treated. Brockman, you're on it.
No, but he certainly spent enough time this offseason, and I watched him in training camp and how dialed in he was with so many players. I just thought that the rhythm and the chemistry, I mean, I guess we can go back to the sideline spats with him and Garrett Wilson during training camp where they tried to downplay that, but there was certainly a number of instances of that and say these guys are not on the same page. So firing the head coach is not necessarily going to change that. Now, maybe it motivates you to work that much harder on getting but it's not like they haven't been working on it already. So they've got to figure it out on offense. They've got to figure out a way to get on the same page and to start clicking, because the way that they got off to slow starts the last couple of games and really a slow finish against the Broncos as well is just not going to get it done for this team in the way it's supposed to be built. So we'll see about the offensive side of the ball. For Jeff Ulbrich, and Tom, you do the Senior Bowl every week, so you know how important it is. Mm-hmm. And they've changed the format within the last couple of years to allow guys who haven't been head coaches before to get head coaching experience. So Jeff Ulbrich was the head coach and got rave reviews from the folks involved down there with how he structured things, how he ran things. I went back and found that clip of him at his post-game press conference after the Senior Bowl, talking about how it forced him to think about things that you don't think about as an assistant, the bigger picture, how things are structured. It is different doing it at the Senior Bowl than it is in the NFL as head coach of the Jets with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback after they just let go of Robert Saleh. So here come the lights for Jeff Ulbrich, who I like a lot. I think the world of, and I think a lot of defensive players think highly of him there. Players on both sides of the ball, but certainly his defensive players. Now let's see what he can do as a head coach.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.